Hello everybody, 7 o'clock on a Wednesday on the 27th of January, and here we are again, having survived our holocaust of snow. Well, we had a day of snow, but we'll talk about that later on. It was fun, very cold, all gone now. And we've been very busy. I mean, the centre's been really exceptionally busy right the way through the winter. In the old days, in December and January, it used to be really quiet, and we would have sort of hardly anything in at all. For the last few years, it's just been getting busier and busier right through Christmas time, right through now, and we're still getting 8 to 10 patients in a day. And you know, we don't get the time to do the refurbishment, which is what we always try to do in the winter. We try to refurbish the centre and do some painting and whatever. The only thing we've done this year is we've re-linoed the ICU floor. So for anybody who's excited about our ICU unit, it now has squeaky clean, beautiful new lino on it. So
we have redone the top ponds as well, actually.
We've half redone the top ponds, but then snow, rain and everything else stopped play. So they're yet to be finished. And then we've got to clean out, dredge out the bottom pond. That's going to be a nightmare, but we can't do that at the moment either. So we've still got some work going on. But I mean, just doing those 3 things, it's cost us over 25,000 quid. So pretty scary stuff, to be honest. And especially, I think COVID really has hit all charities very hard. It's hit us as well. So obviously donations are down and we're all sort of getting slightly concerned about the future. But because I'm such a mean man, we've actually got quite good reserves in the bank, which always means we can keep going, whereas some charities, I must admit, you know, do seem to be down to their last 2 weeks' money, which is pretty scary. So if you want to help wildlife charities, send them all your dosh, but rather send it to us, because I'm mean like that. But anyway, welcome. It has been busy, as I say. We've got, I think, an early thanks tonight should go out. We've got about 4 main rescuers, apart from Lawrie and I. We've got 4 other people who will go out and do loads of rescues. I'm not going to name them because there are others as well, but there's 4. They know who they are. I mean, one of the rescuers, who's quite elderly, that's the only hint I'm going to give, went out, I think the other day, went out 8 times in one day. I mean, he would just literally finish one rescue, out to the next, finish that, out to the next.
And they weren't local either. They were back and forth across the county. So.
I mean, rescues are great. Obviously, that's what we do. But they all cost money, sadly. I mean, you go out on a rescue, you don't think about the cost. You know, we're out for an hour, but I mean, you've probably got a couple of gallons of petrol, you've got all the time and all the other bits, kit we break, because I'm very good at breaking kit. And it's a trouble, and sometimes we get a lot of calls to rescues that don't happen. That happened today, didn't it, Mr. Brayley? Lawrie and I went crawling around an attic for an hour to a bird that had been in the attic for 4 days.
But they've seen it. They saw it this morning, but they haven't seen it since 9 o'clock, and it seems to have made its own way out.
And it has certainly been there because we saw lots of bird poo on the attic floor. But you know, that was an hour and a bit out of Laurie's and my day, and you know, the expense of getting there to find nothing. Bit of a shame. So it's always a bit of a trouble, but we will go out to these things. So Laurie's been out recently to a rescue that never was. I went out to my rescue years ago to rescue my fire alarm, and today we went out to the ghost rescue where there was nothing there at all. So it's quite fun. It's
it
all
happens
different.
Occasionally. It does. It's still every couple of weeks, every year we get a couple, I think.
Yeah. Oh, more
of ones that are
more
depending on what it is. We years and years ago we did a squirrel that was trapped that, as we got there, managed to break itself free and run away. We've done deer trapped in netting that have literally, as we were walking to them, have broken themselves free and run off. Yeah. A lot of things that weren't there.
That's either because they saw your face or my face, Lawrie. I don't know which. But
I am
one of
very
our faces.
scary. I've had a haircut as well now, so I'm even more scary.
I did. People might not, Lawrie, everybody might be too polite here, but I was getting very, very bulgy on the edges, so I got my beard trimmers and trimmed the side of my sideburns, all right up through there. But of course, as my girlfriend told me, I'd forgotten to do the back bit. So as long as you can't see the back, we're fine. But the sides look reasonable, but at the back there's a great sort of wad where the beard trimmers were. So this is my COVID haircut, my special COVID haircut. So it's all quite interesting. So no, back to our, you know, thank you those 4 rescuers particularly. Thank you so much for your absolute and undying devotion to the charity, but all our other volunteers as well. As always, they're here come hell or high water. And it keeps us going. I mean, as I say every time, but I mean, I can't mean it more. It's because of them that we're still here and all their devotion to us. We're doing a bit of painting. We've got a painter in at the moment. We've got a painter who's coming to do some paint the top barn and do some bits and pieces. but we never get a chance to really do it well because we never close long enough to do it. We've got a new phone system allegedly coming in February, because our phone system is so antiquated. Lawrie gets really fed up that for Lawrie to be on the phone, you don't see his feet move, but he's having to pedal to get the electricity to his phone. So if you see him doing that when he's on the phone,
it's
he's
a step above having to pull an aerial out still.
Yeah, it is. So what else has been going on, Lawrie? Anything exciting?
It's quite a lot, actually. We've been fairly busy, certainly on the rescue side of things, but also on the main patient side of things as well at the centre. And the vast majority of things we've had recently have been down to man. So there's been a lot of entanglements, a lot of fishing line, rope, netting, things like that. And also, very unfortunately, we had a buzzard in over, I believe, last week sometime, maybe the week before, that turned out to have been poisoned with rat poison. Now, not a lot of people realise that if you put down poison for a rat and the rat eats that poison and dies, it's potentially not just that rat that poison is going to have an effect on. If any other carrion eater, be it a buzzard or an owl or a fox or anything like that, eats that rodent, they too ingest the poison. And whilst that dose may not be enough to kill that larger animal, they eat several rodents that have been killed by it, and then you suddenly end up with foxes poisoned with rodenticide or owls. And the most recent one we had was a buzzard, and it took, I think, about a week and a half of medication from the vet team to get it stable and for it to stop bleeding, because most of these are warfarin poisons. They cause they reduce the clotting reflex, and they effectively bleed out. But this one is doing really, really well. It's currently up in one of our top aviaries, and it's been flying well. It's back up to full health. It's putting on weight very quickly and is eating us out of house and home. And that one should be going for release very, very soon. So fingers crossed for that one. We've had another buzzard as well. So for those of you who are confused from the States, buzzard is what we call that bird here in the UK and a good chunk of Europe. In the US, you call it a hawk. What you call a buzzard, we call a vulture. It's very confusing whenever we publish a video about when we say buzzard done this, and everyone's like, that's not a buzzard, that's a hawk. Yes, you are correct. The other one that we had was this guy, another buzzard. This one came in with capillaria. Capillaria is a genus of nematode worm that causes a particular illness called capillariasis, I believe, and it's arrived incredibly thin, really not being able to eat, struggling to eat. That was with us for about a week. Luckily it is treatable, and that can head back to the wild, and actually Pete, one of our rescuers, released that buzzard just a few days ago. So thank you very much, Pete, for the release photo on that one, and now that one is safely back in the wild.
That's what we do. We give them a second chance. But as Lawrie said earlier on, I mean, I honestly believe that well over 90%, and I think probably 99% of the rescues we get or the patients we get in are directly or indirectly due to man, which is pretty tragic, really. If we weren't around, we'd have, there'd be so fewer patients in. I can't get my words out today. So. Yeah, it's because of us, and it's really because that's why we started our IDOT campaign, which is firing off very well. It's to do one thing. If we all do one thing, if we pick up that bit of fishing line, if we pick up the broken bottle, if we sort of smash the broken can, all these sort of things help. In fact, Lawrie went out to a goose just over about a week ago now, which had somehow got a can over its lower beak and onto its neck. It was bleeding profusely. We went out there for about an hour, but I mean, it wasn't that weak and it could fly. And as soon as we got within literally 100 yards of it, it was that far, so there's no way we could have got it. It flew off. We waited and waited. And I did hear actually yesterday that it had been caught and it is now at a sanctuary. So thank heavens for that. And the other one we had, again, well, it might not be due to man, this one, but we had the Swan, which had bite marks on its neck. It was very nearly dead when we got to it. It was in a terrible state. And it was bite marks, so it could have been a dog, it could have been a fox, so we don't know for sure, but it was absolutely horrendous. So it took Lawrie and I quite a long time to get it. We had to drive it in towards the bank with the boat, and Jacob, one of our volunteers, amazing guy, just jumped in. It was in the reeds, and we knew we'd have one chance of getting it, so we pushed it into the edge, and Jacob was on the bank, and he just jumped into the middle of the reeds and came out with the swan in his hands. What an amazing thing to do. So there he is now, jumping into the reeds, getting the swan, and he was very cold and wet when he came out. That swan, to be honest, was really very near death. I think it was in a real terrible state. It had lost a lot of blood. He couldn't even hold his head up, and even yesterday it looked awful. In fact, we have it on the cameras here, and I'm now going to ruin everything because I'm going to do this now.
Oh, you're going to ruin your camera.
I'm going to ruin my camera. And I don't. Oh yeah, there he is. So there's the swan. He's on our cameras all the time.
You need to get a bit closer. It's blurring out on the swan.
I can't get much closer because no, it's work. There it is.
We do have a clip actually, so that's it live at the moment.
He is, yeah. He's eating by himself, which is really very good. And this is the first day he's looked anything like he might get better. There he is. Actually, he's just got his head, but I can see it. You can't. He's got his head bent down, just eating a bit of green from his bowl. So actually, really
we got a little bit of footage of him eating earlier. Actually, so this is the swan. We put a GoPro in with him earlier, or her. We're not entirely sure which. It's a young one. The neck is still very, very swollen. Very, very obviously painful and difficult to eat. But we are getting there slowly. It will be a long recovery process on that one, but we are getting there. It's taken a while.
I mean, even as Lawrie and I were saying yesterday, we were looking at the camera. We actually had to zoom in on the camera to see if he was still breathing because he couldn't lift his head at all. He was just lying out flat. And I'm watching him now. He's sitting pecking away again. Good swan. I'm going to say good boy. Good boy.
He's had more than 2 litres of fluid, that swan, to stabilise him over the course of the few days that he was on an IV drip.
I could
have made him an awful lot of work to get that.
I could have made him so much better, so much quicker. I just put up a half a litre of Bacardi, and he would have been fine in seconds.
That only works for you.
True.
But
so, success
it's doing
story.
a lot better.
Stories.
Still not out the woods. Still a guarded prognosis, just because it is still so weak. But we are getting there. It's gone through a number of different procedures now. Though the wounds have been debrided, which is sort of the removal of the dead tissue around the wound site. They've got hydrocolloid dressings, which are special dressings that help to speed up the healing process. That's all sutured in place. We're not entirely sure what did it. I know a lot of you have been wondering whether it was a fox, whether it was a dog, anything like that. Not entirely sure. The likelihood is, from the reports that we've gotten from the spacing of the wounds, that it was probably something like a dog. But we're not sure. We're not going to speculate on that one. It has been bitten on the neck. There's between 10 and 20 individual puncture wounds on the neck, unfortunately. But it's getting there, and we will do what we can to get it back. So
we'll get there. I like a nice ending. I'm too old for sad endings now, Lawrie. I've got to have happy endings. It's the only thing that works for me anymore.
Yeah, so this is that swan actually earlier today in the pen, looking a lot better. So we will keep you updated on that one. If you can just keep an eye out on our social media channels, we'll post, as soon as we have any more updates, we'll post them on there.
That plastic which you saw around his neck then was obviously the drip line going in from above. Yes. So he was on fluids for a long time. He's off those now. And actually standing up, wagging his tail at me as I look right at this second. So there we are.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Good old swan, that's what I say. So what else, Lawrie? What other exciting things?
So we've had a lot of mallard issues over the past couple of weeks. So for those of you who have been following for a while, in November we actually had 8 ducklings arrive with their mother. Unfortunately, their mother quickly abandoned them, and although we tried, we were unable to reunite the family. Those 8 ducklings have been spending the time since then with us, growing up, and amazingly, earlier today they were actually able to head back out to the wild, which is absolutely fantastic. I'll see if I can find the photo.
Who's this person?
In fact, it's a video.
Sorry, who's this person, FXP1688? I've heard of him before, haven't I?
It's a little known character called Swan, who everybody knows. Thank you so much, Sven. We will go through some of the super chats in a minute, but thank you so much as always, Sven. You've been here since the very beginning and have always been incredibly generous, so huge thank you from myself, from Simon, and I'm sure from everyone both here and in the comments.
And if you see the comment on his donation, Lawrie, you'll see that Lawrie, whenever he goes out, he breaks something. Lawrie is the breaker.
I didn't break it.
He broke a propeller. The propeller suddenly didn't work anymore. One blade was totally missing.
No, we hit a rock.
Believe it or not, it's 90 quid, that new propeller.
Yeah.
So we have to have a spare propeller with us, which lucky we had. We had to go and get it this time. So in future, we're going to carry a spare prop, because if Lawrie gets on the boat, he's going to break it, guys. It's going to cost me money.
Yeah, it's, for those of you who have been wondering about our motor, we actually do have an electric motor now. So we do have a couple of petrol engines, but they're very, very loud and they tend to scare things off. Hence why we were using the oars for certainly the early days of when I was here. But we now do have a really nice electric motor. It's a little on the slow side, but will still help save the arms. So I think that was actually bought for us, or was
no, it was going to be. It was going to be bought for us, and the people who promised to buy it said, "Oh, we'll send you the money." So I went out and bought the motor. Sadly, the donations were not forthcoming. I can't remember whether we did a fundraiser for it after that or not. If we haven't, we should do one. But I can't. But it is a useful thing. As Lawrie said, it's great for most things. It's sadly not really fast enough, because sometimes to get a Swan, you have to get them as they start to take off. Yeah. And you've got a very short period of time, but you've got to have a lot more oomph than this motor's got. And to get the motor with a bit more oomph, it actually has an external battery pack which is enormous, and it would probably sink our little rib, to be honest. So we can't get a bigger one with enough power without having a massive battery pack on the back, which is very heavy. And the whole idea of our rescue boat is it's light enough to carry, the motor's light enough to carry in case we have to go through a long way to get it to the water we want to get it to. So it does not badly, but it's not quite quick enough. It's much slower with only 1/2 of the prop, though, as we found out the other day.
It just doesn't work. It really doesn't.
And on top of that, and we got back from the rescue before that, which was the gull rescue. I don't know whether we mentioned that one the other week, but we had over 50 meters of line entangled around the prop. So this is just, you can't even see it. It was in the water. The prop picked it up. 50 meters of line. So fishing line causes so much damage to so many of our water patients. In fact, most of our water birds that come in, I would say over 50% is because of a line problem, a fishing line problem. So, if you do see fishing line discarded on the side, or you see it hanging around a tree if you're out on a walk, do your IDOT. Please pick it up, take it away, put it in a bin, because it does kill many, many, many animals. We've even had, quite a few years ago, long before Laurie's time, I think Lawrie was born when it happened, but we had a barn owl that had got caught in fishing line, was hanging from a tree. It was dead, sadly, but it was stuck around its legs. It was hanging from a tree, and that was a barn owl. So it's not only water birds that get into trouble, it can be other birds as well. So yeah, fishing line, pick it up, guys. If you see it, pick it up. If you see a fisherman discard it, just ask him very nicely, say, please pick this up, because we get so many animals with fishing line tackle problems, hook problems, a lot of hook problems. It does some huge damage and kills probably millions in a year, to be honest. I've never seen the stats on it, but I wouldn't be at all surprised if it goes into certainly the hundreds of thousands.
Yeah. On that note as well, it was actually when we had snow this previous weekend, we had a mallard that came in with a fishing hook through both feet. So it had one triple barbed hook through one foot, one through the other, and they were joined with a float. And unfortunately, every time it tried to move, it was doing this to its foot. So causing large tears, very, very unpleasant, very, very painful. That was here for a little while. The smaller ones have healed, the larger ones unfortunately never will, but they have sort of sealed on the edges, so they're not painful, and they won't cause any lack of mobility or anything like that. That was here for a little bit of time, and that today has actually gone back out to the wild. So that was Simon earlier today releasing that little guy back out to the wild. So it's been quite a busy couple of weeks for us, really.
It has. It's been really busy, and it's been very cold. So I've had my Arctic coat on, because it has been below zero. And actually, was it yesterday? Yesterday. Day before yesterday, our central heating broke. I didn't know what to do with myself. It was 10 degrees in this house, and I thought I was going to die. But
yeah, this is actually a photo taken in Simon's living room.
Yeah, it probably was. So
the wildlife is certainly making the most of it. So
cute little robin. But that was our one day of snow. Whereas when I was younger, we used to get weeks and weeks of quite deep snow. It used to go 2 or 3 feet high when I was very young. Don't see that anymore. So we got we got about 4 inches of snow, I suppose, didn't we, roughly? And they were playing it. Couldn't get them to do any work. They went out playing. They're all children playing with the snow. I went out for 5 minutes, decided it was very cold, and came indoors again.
There's a lot of people in the comments actually over on YouTube that are saying that the guys from the Ocean Conservation Namibia channel, the ones who do a lot of seal rescues, they have the same issue with ropes and fishing lines and things like that. It is something that happens everywhere, and it's not just us, it's not just the Ocean Conservation Namibia guys, it's every wildlife rescue around the world will have issues with it. It's one of the things that we really see in everything. It's not just birds as well. We've seen it in foxes with hooks in the ears and things like that, in badgers. Anything can get tangled and hooked in it. So please just do your bit, pick it up when you finish using it.
IDOT. IDOT. I keep saying IDOT. Abby's worked for months on IDOT now, and it's beginning to get together. We've had our first, if you like, our trial school, ACS in Cobham. Brilliant school. They have done last week, the Lure school completed their 1,000 IDOTs. The other classes the other years to doing it as well, so they're really picking it up and they're getting so excited. I think the thing I enjoy about IDOT is you get the comments back from the kids. They love doing it. They realise they're doing a good thing, which makes them feel good, but they're actually helping nature, they're helping the planet in a big way. So, you know, as everybody says, what's the point of me doing anything? I can't improve the state of the planet. But if in the UK, if 23 billion actions happen a year, it's going to make a difference. So that's why it's so important.
And that's the thing, the guys from ACS, they haven't been doing it too long, and then already they're on 1,000 actions. And if you think, oh, just one thing, you know, picking up a bit of paper or something like that won't make a difference, think of that 1,000 times over. Think of 1,000 pieces of litter removed from a beach. At that point, it will make a difference. And they've only been doing it for a couple of weeks, and that's it. And they've already done that. So if we could get the entire country, if not the entire world, to do just one thing every day, imagine the impact that we could have. It's such a massive potential. We just need everyone to get involved, really. So.
Well, we were going to say what it would be if everybody in the world did an IDOT, and we couldn't work how many noughts it was to say how many. It was something like trillions of billions or billions of trillions or something. It was so big. But yes, it would make a difference. And you know, it's all very well everybody saying to us, oh, the world's coming to an end and it's up to us. But sometimes we need some guidance. We need to tell you what you can do just to start you off. And then when you get into it, you'll be coming up with your own IDOTs, your own things. And what I'm looking forward to seeing is somebody coming up, send us an IDOT and saying, look, I did that, which is something we hadn't heard of. And then I'll get even more excited, which at my age is very dangerous.
So a couple of questions have been coming in whilst we've been on air, so thank you very much to everyone who has left a question. If you do have a question that you have for either myself or Simon or for anyone here, please leave it in the comments either on Facebook or on YouTube, and we will get to it as soon as we possibly can. So Dan Mills has asked, have you had many birds of prey with a lack of food being the issue? My local wildlife centre has had about 10 in the past fortnight.
I can't say we have. If you want to know, I mean, we don't know why these birds come in. You know, all sorts of reasons. It's very hard to know that it's a lack of food that's caused it. In this country in particular, I can't see, because we haven't had enough ice. We haven't had enough longevity of snow to stop animals eating. So I'd be surprised if that is actually the initial cause or the root cause. You know, even buzzards and things, they eat carrion. Even if it's a bit of frozen carrion, they will come down and eat it. And all the garden birds have got enough, because we've only had, you know, there's been stuff around. It doesn't hurt to feed birds in the winter, and they certainly don't need feeding in the summer. But I should probably get shot by all the bird food manufacturers now. But in the winter they certainly do need it. But only when it's really inclement weather. As some animals, if we get a real cold spell, a real icy spell or snow spell, then obviously even some animals need a bit of food, you know, because they're raking around trying to find enough food. Hedgehogs, particularly this year, is interesting because they haven't all hibernated, because it hasn't been cold enough for long enough. So we have had reports pretty much every week during the winter of hedgehogs being seen out and about. They're all over 600 grams, or most of them were, otherwise they would have come in and stayed with us. So, you know, they don't all hibernate unless they really have to. But whether they're finding enough food in the winter, it's all very well a hedgehog being out, but if its food source is gone because the slugs aren't out or the snails aren't out, then we don't know whether it's a good thing that hedgehogs are out in the winter and not hibernating, or vice versa. It's still, the question is out. I was talking to a hedgehog expert not long ago about it. We're still trying to work out which is going to be the best answer. So animals do struggle, and we do need to keep an eye open for them. But it's just literally keeping an eye open. If you see something, if you find a hedgehog in trouble, do ring a wildlife centre for advice, because they will advise you what's the best thing to do, and it will probably depend upon weight more than anything else. So let's just be there for our wildlife. And it's all very well, everybody says, you know, I think the biggest problem I have is everybody says, oh yes, well, you know, I save wildlife, you know, I sponsor an elephant or a lion or something big like that or whatever, but every animal depends upon a food chain being intact. And if a food chain is not intact, it's all very well saving the lions, but if all the animals below that disappear, then the lion's not going to make it either. So it's got to be holistic cure. We've got to save everything to save one thing. It sounds crazy, but again, it's the 23 billion actions a year will make that happen. So let's do everything we can for our wildlife. Let's make 2021 the wildlife saving year.
Oh, if only, yeah. A few people on that note, a few people in the comments have been mentioning the spate of fake animal rescue channels that appear to be springing up all over YouTube at the moment. Yes, unfortunately we are aware of that. We do get fairly regular comments thinking that we are one as well. Can assure you we're very real. No one fakes being like him. No one. But yes, unfortunately we are aware of the ones that will deliberately put usually domestic animals in horrible situations just to rescue them and then get the views off YouTube. That is something that we actually, if we do find anything, we do report it to the various people that we know at YouTube. But yeah, can assure you we're not one, and we are aware of it, and we definitely disagree with it. So a few people have been asking, have we ever had a newt in at the centre? The answer is yes. Yes, we've had a few. A lot of them are either dropped by herons or things like that, or they've been found in the middle of a path, maybe clipped by a bike or something like that. Most of the ones we get are the common newt. We've very occasionally got palmate newts as well, and I can't recall a great crested newt, but I know that they have been here in the past before I was here. And we do have people on site that hold the licenses that are required to handle and move great crested newts. I believe the rehabilitation of them and the rescue of them is fine as long as it is for animal welfare reasons. But just in case, we do have people who hold the appropriate licenses, because they are a highly protected species, great crested newts. Very pretty species as well.
That would be SARG then, wouldn't it? Our friends at SARG.
Yes, yeah. Surrey Amphibian and Reptile Group, if you want to go and look them up.
They're around, and some of them work here. In fact, one of the members works here. Naomi is a member of SARG, I think, isn't she? And Mike Berwick's a member of SARG.
Yeah.
So we've got everybody here. We've got, including Lawrie.
Yeah, that's the thing. We get a few people who have said on some of the videos, what sort of qualifications do you need to get into the industry that we're in? And the truth is, you don't. We have people here that vary from ski and scuba instructors right the way up to PhD holding physics lecturers and everything. There is no prior requisite to work with wildlife other than being slightly insane, because it will drive you that way very quickly if you're not. So if you do want to get involved in the wildlife rescue or the rehab world, just go and volunteer at your local wildlife rescue. There are a whole load of centres like us. We're not unique. There are a whole load of centres like us around the UK and around the world who would absolutely love people like you guys who are passionate about animals and rescuing them to work with them. So if you don't know where your local one is, if you go to www.helpwildlife.co.uk, if you're in the UK, you can put in your postcode and it will tell you what your local rescue centre is, and I'm sure they would appreciate it, obviously after the pandemic, but I'm sure they would appreciate it.
If people come here, we have quite a detailed training program. We will teach you everything, so don't worry that you don't know anything. We've got a handbook that would actually scare me if I ever read it. It's really
it's about that thick.
It's full of information. It's full of things to do and don't, but it's actually it's like a little Bible, because it will guide you. If you can't do something, you can flick through the handbook and you'll find out what to do, what to feed, how to help, how to make up the bedding. Everything's there. So if you come and join us, for instance, you get a considerable amount of training, but before we let you loose by yourselves.
And that's the thing, on the rescue side of things as well, that is also a staged process. So you can go out and observe things. We don't expect you to rush out and be able to catch foxes right away or anything like that. You go out with other rescuers, you learn the techniques, and then you go out originally to sort of the more collapsed animals. We've got a lot of foxes that are collapsed in gardens that you can literally just walk and pick up. and then we advance on to the ones that are more mobile or require certain bits of kit, which is all trained on as well. So if you are interested, do let us know. Unfortunately, our volunteer applications are closed at least until March. Looking at how things are at the moment, I would imagine it's probably going to be further than that one, depending on government guidelines. But keep an eye on our website. We will let you know when everything is back open. So
times will come. It's going to be busy. It's going to be busy. I mean, I think now on average, if I look at, we get a phone message click up on our phones if we need somebody to go and rescue something. So Lawrie and I are on that list as well. And I reckon on average we get at least 4 collapsed foxes a day.
Oh, at least.
I don't, at least, and that's sort of a small amount. So that's a rescue going out to bring it back in. So we need more rescuers. We need them obviously in a wide area, because we cover quite a wide area, right out through into Kent, right down into Sussex, very close and nearly into London. So anybody out in those sort of areas, even if you can just be a collector for us, it would be really useful, to be honest.
Just looking at my phone now, and we've had 7 different texts today, and that's just going out to general rescues, including, not including, sorry, the more specific ones. Simon and I are contacted about certain things, certain rescuers are contacted about certain things. So that's 7 rescues, plus I think at least 2 that we've done. And this is on what is meant to be a quiet season. So heaven help when we get to actually get into the orphan season, how busy that's going to be.
Not looking forward to that one this year.
Yeah. Over the past couple of minutes, we've been amazingly lucky. A whole load of you have donated via the YouTube donate button, so huge thank you for that. So Pernilla Berg has donated 500 Swedish krona, so thank you so much. MH, €5, thank you so much for that one as well. Azza YCF has donated £10, but thanks for the great work you all do. Thank you very much. Donations like that are what keeps us going, so thank you very much. Alex Fermer has donated €5, but thank you for your great work. Thank you to you as well. Ironics1, £5, has put towards the Swan's food. It is getting through a lot of food now, and certainly when it's back up to full health, it will be going through those little sort of plastic trays we have in there very quickly. I believe Simon's watching it at the moment.
He's still eating now. He's tucking in. He just looks such a... I wish we'd put a picture up of him yesterday, actually, Lawrie, because he honestly looked on the verge of death yesterday. So it's a real magical transformation today. Absolutely. He's taking it down, he's standing up, he's been chipping away all day at the food. So that's really brilliant. I'm so pleased.
It's always nice when we see them start to come back, and you see that spark of life in the eyes once again, which is...
I've been looking for fantastic. That in your eyes for months, Lawrie. I haven't seen a spark of life for ages. I haven't seen
it's working with you, it's what does it.
It's part of the fun, guy. Part of the fun.
Abby found that quite funny. So Robert Fletcher has donated £10, has put, give this to the Swan. We will do, though we'll probably eat it, so we might see until he's a bit better and he knows what to spend it on. But thank you very much for that, that's very generous. Pixel Pirate, £10 as well, has put, get well soon, Swan. Also, hi Simon and Lawrie, best of luck for the new year. Thank you very much. We are going to need it, I think.
I noticed that nobody's paid for your new propeller yet, Lawrie, so...
Well, actually, Sven's comment said, a little tip for your broken boat.
It's going to be the oars for you, Brayley. You're going to have to be rowing like crazy to keep this boat in the water.
It's like going back to the gym, even though they're all closed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Muiao? I'm not sure if I've mispronounced that. Apologies if I have. Donated 100 Danish krona. But thanks for all your hard work. I love your videos, even the occasional ones that might be hard to watch. I wish I could give more, but hopefully this helps a little. It really does. As we say in every single one of these, we're not government funded. We can only do what we do thanks to the support of people like yourselves. So thank you so much for that. One name that you'll know.
Oh, go on.
£10 from a Mr. Adam Warner, who may or may not be related to the person that's sat on my right.
He might be. I reckon Abby should really thank him personally. That little flash into the little flash in the side of the screen for Abby to say thank you, Adam. That's really cool. Really cool.
Adam's put, missed the beginning of this, but hope this one is okay. Doing better. Thank you very much. There's a whole load more that have come in as well. So Marge Petite 1 has donated $4.99. Anthony Furival has donated £4.99. But sorry I'm late today. Here's my latest donation. This week it's to fund Laurie's counselling to help him get over Simon's comments. Thank you. That is greatly appreciated. There's a lot of counselling involved. This is the only time we talk.
behind the scenes, I spend hours crying because Lawrie upsets me so much. He breaks a propeller, I cry. It's such a hard relationship. I let him away. I let him get away with so much, and I just slowly swallow it because I have to. He's quite important to me, Lawrie. Not in that respect. Let's not get this wrong. But on rescues now, I rely on him more and more and more. And he's, apart from breaking kit, he's not bad at rescues now. Not bad.
A few people have asked actually, how much would it cost to repair the boat? So the thing we were talking about is the propeller, the prop on the back of the boat. Unfortunately, on the Swan rescue, we hit a submerged rock and it sheared off one of the blades. That was about £80 to replace that. £90
yeah,
to replace
the new
that.
one's on the desk over there now.
Yeah, so we have a little container that we're now taking around with the boat, so we can always make sure we can get it back up to speed if we need to.
Yeah, we have to take that container with us because Lawrie breaks so many things now. We have to carry full toolkits because you know damn well he's going to break something.
You're so cruel.
Oh, but so true.
A few people have been asking where I got my t-shirt as well. So this is actually one of the Wildlife Aid t-shirts that Float, the company, the charity that we work with quite a lot, produced in November. So unfortunately, due to COVID, there's been a lot of shipping delays, but these have finally started arriving. So if you did buy one back when we did the push for it in November, hopefully yours will be arriving soon. Unfortunately, you can't get them anymore. It was only a week-long thing, but we will be doing another one with Float at some point in the future. So keep an eye out for that one. We'll announce it when it happens.
So what else? What else? Oh yes, washing machine. I think we're nearly there, aren't we? But we did have a slight accident with our washing machine the other day. Luckily, Lawrie was nowhere near it at the time, but it gave up the ghost. And because it's a big commercial machine, because they're literally running all day, every day, they're about 1,800 quid to buy a new one. So we had to rush out.
And we had two die.
Yeah, we had no time. We had to literally go and get one that day. We had to get the guy to plumb it all in and do it for us. That was £1,800. Now we did quite well. We put out what was it? Gift?
Just giving. There you go. It's on the screen. Just jog your memory.
And there we are. We've got £1,544 so far. So we just need to edge that up towards 1,800, guys. So if anybody just wants to bung a few pennies in there, then we can pay for our new washing machine. When the chap came in and fitted the new one, he said, "I'll send you a bill." I said, "Don't rush, because you're not going to get paid that quick." But we should be able to pay him soon, which is quite. He'll be pleased. He won't cry either. What else? Oh, we've had to replace all our deer sheds. We call them deer sheds, but they're general purpose sheds. But we get a lot of foxes and badgers in those, and obviously it's a hard concrete floor, and we like to keep them a bit comfortable. So we buy sort of great thick. It's horse mats, but it's 23mm thick, and it's brilliant, and it keeps them warm, and it's very good. Trouble is, foxes do eat it.
Especially the one we've got in at the moment.
Yeah.
We have a mangy fox in at the moment that seems to have made it his mission, or her mission rather, to tear up absolutely everything that we can possibly put in that pen, be it a vet bed or a mat or food or newspaper or anything. She seems to have made it her mission to make sure that it's in pieces by the time you come back in the morning. So she's gone through a few.
I think we should give it a pair of concrete boots so it can't move. I reckon that would be the way. No, so we had to buy some of those recently. So all 6 mats had been chewed to pieces over last year. So I've actually bought another 6 of those, and again we did another funding operation for that, and incredibly we got all the money within about 2 days. So that's fantastic. So that should last us for a few more months, unless we get any more foxes like that, or unless Lawrie goes a bit funny and starts to eat the deer mats himself. Wouldn't surprise me if he goes up there at night and chews on them. He gets so fed up with me. It's a way of taking out his frustrations about me.
It's the only way I can get food, because you refuse to feed me.
Yeah, yes. Well,
I'm just kept in the basement, just wheeled out for live streams.
With a haircut like that, who's going to feed you, Lawrie? Who's going to take you seriously with a haircut like that?
It's actually shorter now.
Don't flick it back like that.
You see my massively balding forehead.
That was really
28 years old. It's going to go soon.
It is. Bye-bye, hair. Bye-bye.
Pot kettle black. Richard S. Wiggins has asked, how are the plans for the new centre coming on?
Okay, so that's going well. The weather's been a bit against us, but it has been started. It was started just before Christmas. we had to build up a bridge over the culvert. I don't know if you've got any pictures of this or not, or if you haven't, it doesn't matter. But we had a bridge going from 7 acres to 12 acres. That was too low and it wasn't strong enough. That has been done, so that's done. We're now ripping up the entrance road. So there's the bridge being done there. So the next job, we ripped up the entrance road because we've got to put a stronger road in there. And there, the digging you're seeing going on there is, that's still the culvert, isn't it?
That's for the concrete, yeah.
Yeah, we've also put in from the road right down to that culvert. We've put in a huge, great trench to run all the ducts in. So all the electricity and water and gas and all the other things has to go into big, long ducts, which is being done at the moment. And we've got a meeting up there next Monday at 10:30. Just to see how it's all going. So as soon as that lot's done, they'll finish the road off, and then when they finish the road, as soon as it's dry enough, they will start digging the wetlands. That will happen this year. It really depends upon the water table and how far they can get into it. So if anybody wins the lottery this weekend and wants to see the whole centre built quickly, do send us some money. It's going to be about 6.5 million. We know that. We always knew that from the beginning, and it's the most scary amount of money ever. I hope it might come from a few high net worth individuals. If you know anybody who's incredibly wealthy, and I mean seriously wealthy, and loves environmental things, we can name a bit of the centre after them. We can name the centre after them. I don't care what the centre's called, because I think it's going to do such great things when it is built. But we're just chugging away. So we're going to do the wetlands, we'll do all the platforms, and then we have to wait then until we can afford to build one of the buildings. Probably the first building we will put in will be the security building, because obviously once we've got stuff going on down there, we need to have somebody living down there all the time, and we need security, televisions and all that sort of thing. And the second building will probably, well, without doubt, will be the visitor centre, which for now will be a CPD building. So we're hoping to do a lot of CPD courses. They will start, obviously because of COVID, they'll probably start online. We're hoping to start those off this spring. So if anybody's got any CPD courses they'd like to see us teach, I can't promise we will, but it would be really good to gauge people's opinions, what they'd like to see, whether they prefer them to be online, whether they prefer them to be live if you live in the UK. We just like input. I mean, you tell us this centre is really virgin territory apart from the wetlands, and it's still pretty virgin, but if there's anything you particularly think would be really good for us to do, that would be amazing. If anybody wants to know more in any detail, send us an email or give us a call, because we're going to talk to anybody about that. And as I say, if you know anybody who might want to sponsor it, be it a corporate, be it a high net worth individual, whatever, I would love to speak to them. And you know, we just want to get this centre built because we think it can do great things. It's like this centre, if you like, is our IDOT. It's a massive IDOT. It's not the normal little 5-minute job, but it's our IDOT to you and to the world. So we're just trying to do our bit. So if you can help, don't hesitate to get in touch. And I'm going to stop talking about money now. I've talked about money too much.
So for those of you who don't know as well, and were slightly confused by CPD, CPD is effectively a veterinary top-up course. It's like a little additional module that you can, as a qualified vet or as a studying vet, do. So we are thinking of introducing a course like that for wildlife. So one of the main points why we're moving into the centre, the new centre in the way that we are, is that in the average vet course, very little time is actually given over to wildlife veterinary medicine. There's so much to teach for domestics that you only get a week or so, maybe even a lesson on wildlife. And treating wildlife and treating domestics can be two very, very different things. So we're trying to put into place something where people can actually come in and learn specifically about the treatment of wildlife. And hopefully through that we can then reduce the number of cases where wildlife brought into vets are euthanized purely because the vet just doesn't really know what to do. That's nothing against the vet, it's an animal that they don't know the morphology or the physiology, and that is the only way that they can do it. So hopefully that is going to come in the future.
And it won't only be for vets and vet nurses, it will be for any groups. You know, we could talk about hedgehog rehabilitation, we could talk about anything. I will go anywhere with these CPD courses, people want them. It stands for continued professional development. So, you know, any company, all companies have CPD courses. This one will be aimed towards animals and that type of thing. And I think education going forwards is absolutely vital, because, you know, we want to get our children inspired and to understand why they need to protect the planet. We've been very lax to that. My generation particularly has been very bad. I just didn't know any better when I was young. Now we do know, and I think the kids are taking up the banner of taking this forward. So we just want to assist them in that. We want to inspire them, and we will train, teach, whatever. Somebody came up to me the other day and said, if I gave you £5 million, you could spend it on either the new Wildlife Aid Centre or you could spend it on education. I'd have to spend it on education, because I think that's the linchpin for the future. What we do here, saving the actual animals, will always be the heart and soul of what we do, but without, as I said earlier on, without everything else in place, without, if we saved all these animals and they went out into habitat that was unsafe, what's the point of saving the animals? So it's a holistic thing. The habitat's got to be there, it's got to be safe, the animals have got to be safe. So, when we mend the planet, we've actually got to mend all of it, and that's a huge ask, but if we all do a tiny little thing, that is our ask pretty much started. So CPD is great. Any ideas you've got that? Any ideas for the new centre? Anything particular which we might not have thought of? I know I'm pretty omnipotent, or is it impotent? I can't remember which. You've got any ideas, do tell us what you'd like to see, there, because we will take it on board. We will look at it and see if we can build it into what we're going to do down there. It should be an all singing, all dancing, amazing place, and I'd quite like to do it before I end up in my little wooden box. And Laurie's going to smile in a minute, because he just dreams about me being in a little wooden box. When he becomes me, he'll have to lose a bit more hair, he'll have to go a bit greyer, but he is the next me. Pretty scary, that, guys. Pretty scary.
Oh, God. So, Stardusty has asked, wondering what inspiration or life experiences led to your choice of career helping wild animals?
I never chose it. Oh, this is a lot. You have to read the book, guys. You have to read my autobiography. I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag. You've got to buy the book. Always loved animals. Most of my relations were farmers, so I spent most of my summer holidays, and in fact all my holidays, farming. So you were working with animals out in the countryside, and I loved it. I guess if I thought about it more seriously, I would have probably plumped to be a vet when I was at school, but I would never have passed the exam. I'm academically very challenged. Not my scene at all doing paperwork, unlike Lawrie, who does a 5-hour exam in 5 minutes, but that's
not
another
true.
story.
That's not true.
That's another story. So yeah, I wanted to work with animals, didn't do it, and in the end I got back to it. So I've always had an animal or two. I've always had dogs, always loved the wildlife, always loved walking out in the countryside. And when I left London, it gave me that opportunity. So there I was, back to where I wanted to be, and I just thought it'd be a little hobby, and I'd love doing it. If I knew how big it was going to get, I would have been scared. I would have been very scared, because it's now mega. And it also comes with a big responsibility. You sort of start it, and then you think, well, I can't ever stop it now, because I've got a responsibility not only to the animals we help, but to all the volunteers who donate their time. So it becomes a bit of it's quite a heavy weight on the shoulders, being dead serious about it. So I've got to make sure it's all as stable as I can make it before I do depart my mortal toil, whatever it is.
You're in a lovely optimistic mood today.
I'm always optimistic, it's all a game. It's all a game, Lawrie, isn't it? You just do what you can, and I should do what I can as long as I can. Simple as that.
We've had a whole load of incredible donations that have come in as well since we've been in there. The number one of which was a massive $250 donation from Angel Help. It's approximately £180 worth in British currency. Thank you so much. I believe that is towards the new propeller side of things, from what you were saying earlier. Thank you so much. That's absolutely incredible. Thank you as well to everybody else who has donated. So, Tama has donated $10 US. Thank you very much. Cindy, $4.99. Thank you. The Warren, $25. Good to see you. Thank you for being a regular on this stream. Catching animals can be so hard. We have a coot locally with one leg that it can't use, but we can't catch it because even with one leg and both wings on land, it's still super fast. And once back in the water, it's impossible to catch. Yeah, birds certainly can be incredibly difficult to catch. That's why we use a lot of the keep nets and things like that. Try and redirect them into that to avoid having to physically catch them.
Having said that, actually, I'm going to stop you there, because having said that, a coot with one leg, if he's happy in the wild, doing all right, don't bother, guys. Leave it alone. If it's happy and surviving, animals do survive with sort of legs missing in the wild. So yeah, I'd leave that well alone. If it's coping, it's fine. When you can catch it, it means it's not coping. So then it's time to do something about it. But yeah, animals are very adaptable. They crack on and they get on with it. So don't be too soft-hearted about them. more hardy than we are by a long way.
Ali TK has donated £35. Has bought I showed 3 more of my keyrings this week, and they're almost sold out. I'm planning to make more though. So for those of you who don't know, Ali TK, or Alicia I believe, is on Etsy. She hand makes keyrings that are the sort of shaped around British wildlife, and sells them in aid of us. They're very reasonably priced and very well done. So if you want to head over, I believe it's bit.ly / I believe TK something. Abby will stick it in the comments on there, and you can go over and see what she has to offer. And all proceeds are going towards us. So thank you very much to you.
Likewise with the book. Hang on, if anybody wants the book, guys, the book that I wrote, the autobiography, happy to sign it, happy to write anything in it that you like. If you send us an email
within reason.
Within reason. No, actually, for the right money, I'd write anything. But yeah, no, it is there. We've got the Owl with the Golden Heart book as well. And we've got the autobiography, so they're still there, always for sale, always on the website. Otherwise I should have to use them to sort of light my fire with before very long. Never mind.
Cat Feathers has donated $5 Canadian. Love you all and appreciate all you do. Sorry to help buy a washer though, I hate laundry myself. We get through an awful lot of laundry. We've actually just completely stripped out and redone our laundry facility, but we do, certainly in orphan season, we get through a lot of towels. Scottish Astronomer has donated £25, but I hope this will help towards the Lawrie and Simon Counselling Fund. Thank you very much, and hope you're doing well as well. Thank you for watching once again, and hope everything is okay considering.
I think we're going to need special donations to this Swan soon. He hasn't stopped eating the entire live stream. He's been eating greens. I know Alice has been down to Tesco's twice today to get greens for him. So he's obviously feeling a little more perky, Lawrie.
There you go. Can we put him on the camera? Do you want to move the camera?
Again,
we can see
do you want me to move the camera? I don't think
see him live.
It's so bright, isn't it? So I don't know how to get rid of the light.
Can you not get closer?
I'm pulling it now. It's probably all going to go wrong now.
If you disappear, that's what's happened. There you go.
That's how clear. There, you can just about see him.
That's nice and clear. Yeah. So that is the swan that a couple of days ago was lying in a little towel donut, with its neck stretched out and its eyes closed, to the point that we ran up several times thinking it had passed on. So absolutely incredible recovery on that one. So it's still early days, but fingers crossed we're going to get there as soon as we possibly can, really.
He should be fit to eat by Christmas time, shouldn't he, really?
I've
got such a bad sense of humour. People don't understand my sense of humour. I'm joking. I went out and we said something like that to somebody the other day, and they sort of, I thought they were going to cry. I don't really eat them, I promise you guys. We actually save them. We spend a lot of time saving them. We don't particularly eat them. But he's looking so, I can't believe, to be honest, that picture which you saw of him by the boat the other day and now is just, it's incredible. Absolutely stunning. Yeah. That's why we do what we do. Simple as that. Simple as that.
Yeah. There are no words really seeing that sort of recovery. That is, as you say, that's precisely why we do it. An animal that would have absolutely no doubt died had it not been for intervention by either ourselves or anyone else. And through something as simple as a couple of bags of fluids and some food has managed to make such a remarkable recovery. So good on you, Swan, and all the best for it. So a few people have been asking.
Well, hang on. The fact that Lawrie and I didn't get him and Jacob did.
Jacob did, yeah.
Jacob got him.
So we've been there for a while. We broke the prop. Jacob rushed the spare prop over from the centre to where we were, and probably about 10 minutes later caught the swan. So good on you, Jacob.
Team effort, guys. Team effort, as always.
A few people have been asking, are we going to do, or have we ever done, the Big Garden Bird Watch? You have no idea what we're on about.
I do know what we're on about, and we do what we do. I mean, there is a Big Garden Bird Watch. You were talking about it in the car this afternoon. I don't know whether Laurie's going to do something about it or not. I mean, we have enough trouble doing what we do, of trying to get involved in everything else. I'm very focused, although you don't think so, I'm very focused on Wildlife Aid and what we do. I tend not to get too involved in others. I let them do what they do and we'll do what we do. But if Lawrie wants to dip his little finger into that area, I guess he will.
No, so it's this Friday. It's something that's arranged by, I believe, the RSPB, the Royal Society for the Protection of Birds. They do, every year they have an hour where people are meant to go out into their gardens and record the bird species that they find there, and then that data is used as a proxy for how bird species are coping, whether numbers are up, whether numbers are down, and all of that lot. It's very, very important data. If you can do it, absolutely fantastic. Go for it. We'll probably be putting out a little ID guide just so you are sure about what bird you're finding in your garden. But if you can do it, please do. It is vitally important data, and knowing what needs protection and what is okay and what is having issues is amazingly useful for the scientific community. So yes, I have done it in the past and would recommend, if you can, to do so on that one. A few people are asking if that swan is untagged, would it be tagged before release? It actually was tagged. The tag had to be cut off to get the IV drip into the leg. It was covering the port we needed. So we will be contacting the relevant authorities, and it will probably end up being re-tagged or something similar.
A new Darvik ring, and he'll be off doing what he does. In fact, I must ring them tomorrow actually, because I want to find out where he came from. So that's cool. Patreon, you wanted to mention Patreon, Lawrie. I've got a note on my books here.
So for those of you who don't know, we do have a Patreon. We've had it for a little while now. We're slowly getting it up and running. And if you want to, you commit to, I believe it's either £3, £5 or £10 a month. I will be corrected on this because Abby knows far more than I do.
Don't put me on the spot.
She's looking up. I've been told off for putting her on the spot now. We will look this up. But if you want to do that and commit to that, we'll give you a couple of perks, a little behind the scenes look at the centre. We have things like centre tours, behind the scenes of the setup that we have here, all of the appalling wiring job that is done between my office here and right the way over into Simon's office. You can see the really bad wiring job we have to do every evening. And a couple of other things, and we'll have the full release of the 8 ducklings that you saw a clip of during this live stream. We'll have that over on Patreon shortly as well. So if you want to support us, please head over to, I believe it's patreon.com/wildlifeaid. We'll put the link in the chat because Abby's far quicker at this than I am. And that will be absolutely incredible if you could. Thank you as well to all of those who have donated. I've just seen Royston has donated €30, but thank you so much to everything you do for wildlife. You are absolutely incredible. I have a severe chronic illness. I'm so sorry to hear that. And I know what it's like to be ill. I hope this helps to save more of our beautiful wildlife. All the best. Thank you so much, and the same from myself and Simon to you as well. All the best. Beth has also donated $10 on that one as well, so thank you so much. I apologise if I've not read out your donation today. We've got quite a few, and I have a lot of windows open, so really sorry if I've missed them on there.
I noticed that nobody's donated towards your haircut yet, Lawrie.
No, that's because it's gone. There's only 2 hairs left.
No, I think there's a few more than that, and it's just what about my haircut, my COVID haircut? If you saw the back, it's sort of the cutting stops and it all sticks out like a flue brush. But there we are. Never mind.
Well, before I got a haircut, Simon was using me as a mop just to clean the floor.
I was.
Yeah.
Worked quite well.
My only use of this part of the centre.
Downing himself again. Downing himself again.
A few people are asking, how long do you think the Swan's going to be here before release?
Hard to tell. I would have thought at least another fortnight. I would have thought he'll go from there up onto one of our top ponds, just to see how he fares. And as soon as he's faring well from that, he will go back out again, because it's a pond where there were about, I don't know what there were, 9 or 10 swans on there, Lawrie. There lots, quite a few youngsters, weren't there?
Yeah.
So no trouble is if they get a breeding pair on that, if a pair start to decide to go down and have a nest this year, they're going to drive all the youngsters off, which is what happens this time of year. As the adults decide to build a nest, if they've got any youngsters around or anybody else's youngsters, they get a severe pecking up the bottom and are sent on their way, which happens later on. He's still eating, that swan. I can't believe it. I can't get my eyes off the screen. He's still eating. So he's doing well.
When it does come to releasing everything, we have to make sure that said animal can do absolutely everything it needs to do to survive in the wild. So although it might be eating and standing now, we need to make sure that that's perfectly fine. It's able to fly, it's able to walk for long distances without getting tired. It's able to eat, it's able to do everything that nature intended. And then when it goes back out to the wild, we know it's completely and utterly ready to resume its life straight away. So there's a lot of checks.
At 100%. There's no point in us releasing something that's only 70% because it just wouldn't make it. I mean, animals have a hard enough job out there now anyway. So, you know, if we can't get a bird or an animal up to 100%, you know, we have to rethink and decide what we're going to do, or keep it longer to make sure it is, because they've got a hard life out there. I mean, nature is very cruel. It's very tough, actually. You know, everybody thinks, oh, you know, nature's lovely. It ain't. Oh, look, we just had $2.99 for your haircut, Lawrie. That's worth actually £2.99.
That's £1 per hair.
Yeah, absolutely. So no, that's all good. So yeah, animal's got to be right. The Swan will be right when he goes out. I'm hopeful now, but I had a very guarded prognosis when he came in, even up to yesterday. But I'm feeling a little bit more hopeful now, which is probably fatal. So I'm touching wood without you seeing while I'm saying that to you. I think we're just about there for today, Lawrie, aren't we? Have we done everything we need to do
We
today?
are, yes, yeah, we are actually getting very, very close. Last few questions on that one. A lot of people are saying, what's the screaming sound outside of their window?
It's normally Lawrie when I won't let him into the office when he's late in the morning. He gets locked out. If he's not in by 9 o'clock, the door's locked. The screaming sound is Laurie's favourite sound because we've been hearing it for the last month round here every night.
It's very, very loud.
It's foxes. They're doing what foxes do this time of year. We have had loads of calls already that could we go and rescue 2 foxes? They got super glued together or they're stuck together, whatever. And when we say it, you can actually hear the people blush on the phone when you explain what's going on. But they are doing that sort of thing now. They will be having young. Some could be as early as the end of this month. I wouldn't be at all surprised to see fox cubs around very early in February this year because we've had such a mild winter. Time will tell. We'll let you know when the time comes. So orphan season is upon us shortly, and then we go from not too quiet actually to manic. So there's a little screenshot of some of the things we're liable to get in, and we all love it, and we love it when it starts. We've got people already now saying, oh, it's so boring, it's so boring. In February they'll be all excited because we start, in March they'll be quite excited. By July they'll be going, oh God, it's too busy. When's it going to quieten down? It's nice in a way because you can't give everything, but you know you've got an orphan season coming up. You know you've got some highs and some lows in orphan season. We get quite a few lows as well, but they're mainly highs, so we can get that animal, we can make it better, we can get it back out to the wild so it can do what it has to do. And we give them a second chance, which is what we always do. And Lawrie, that's why you're on your second chance now.
I'm at about my 40th, I think, at this point.
Are you that old?
You never know. So a few people on previous videos have been asking why don't we have more footage of patients in the pen, sort of them eating, them recovering and things like that. Completely understandable question. We do try and do it as much as we possibly can. Like the Swan earlier was a GoPro that was put in just after it was fed. The main reason is because these are wild animals and they really don't like human contact. So certainly the young ones, the more you're in contact with them, the more likely they are to imprint on you, which we definitely don't want to happen. And for the adults, they're naturally scared of humans. And you going in and sitting with the camera or putting things down or anything like that makes their rehabilitation journey a lot harder, a lot more stressful. So when things are in their pens, we do try and leave them alone. All our pens are covered in CCTV cameras. We try and monitor them remotely. We do try and include as much of that footage as we can, but occasionally it just doesn't work out. So we are trying to get more footage like that, but it really does depend on whether we can do it in a way that minimises or eliminates the stress of the animal, because as with everything, the animal does come first over the filming. So a few people asking what head cam we use as well. So if you can get them, good luck. It's a Panasonic A500, HX A500.
That's it.
They look like this. We have, I think, 6 of them. We bought them before the prices skyrocketed. They are silly money now, absolutely silly money. But they are fantastic cameras if you did want to get one, and they're the ones that we use for our head cameras.
I might buy some more.
Please don't.
If anybody's got an old utility, a quad utility vehicle, we're after one of those at the moment for 20 acres. We need the utility sort so we can put stuff on the back, but we know we're going to have to be driving around the field quite soon, tending to all the trees that we plant and everything else. So we're trying to buy one right at the moment. We've got our eyes on one of them, but it's a bit expensive. It's about 5,000 quid, which is a lot of money, but I mean it will be used from now on forever, to be honest, because once we plant all our trees and shrubs and everything else, some poor devil is going to have to spend all his time nurturing them, watering them for the first few weeks, which is a bit horrendous because it's going to be 140 grand's worth of plants down there. Yeah, it's going well. It's a big project. We always need your help for it, but it will happen. I'm looking forward to seeing the wetlands be dug, because it'll be 5 years before they really get great. We will obviously be following the story far more deeply. As soon as the wetlands start to be dug, we'll be sending you far more video of that, and then we can map the progress of the wetlands sort of season by season right up until it's fully mature, which I'm really excited about, so that's going to be pretty cool as well. And we will start to attract all sorts of new wildlife down there, which will be even more fun. So yeah, it's going to happen, guys. It's going to happen. With your help, it'll happen that much quicker. On that happy note, Lawrie, we're just about to say goodbye, aren't we, I think?
Yes, yeah. It is time to wrap up. That one went incredibly quickly. Thank you so much to all of you for joining in, for submitting your questions, for donating, for just being part of it. We are incredibly grateful. There are no words to really describe how grateful we are for your support, for your even just sharing our videos, watching our videos, everything like that. Right the way down to those of you who directly donate. We can only do what we do thanks to the generosity of people like you. You guys are the ones that keep us running. So thank you so much. And I suppose the only thing that's left to say is we shall see you in 2 weeks for the next one, 7 o'clock in 2 weeks' time on Wednesday. And thank you all for watching. And from Simon and me, good night.
Good night.